So it started recording, I think. Let's make sure that that's done. Yes. Okay, let's start with number 1. Okay, so we got to do some factoring. What kind of factoring am I going to do? Magic X. Okay, so let's start with the numerator. So 2 numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 13. I heard a 12 and a 1. Good. Okay, and then do I need a box? Why? There's a leading coefficient. Again, if you came from Dudley's group, you may do this differently. It's okay. You can do it your way. All right. So we've got 2 numbers. We've got to put the 12n and the 1n in there. 2 numbers that multiply to 2. 1 and 2. Where's my 2 got to go?
Right there.
Side. Okay, and the 1 on the top. How many times does 2n divide 12n?
6.
How many times does 1n divide 1n? 1 times 6 is 6. So we've got n plus 6 times 2n plus 1. All right, I gotta do another magic X, don't I? That multiply to negative 14 and add to negative 13. What are they? Okay, good. I heard it very quietly, but I heard it. Negative 14 and 1. We need a box again because we've got a leading coefficient. So 2n squared and negative 7. And then I put the negative 14n and the 1n. 2 now, what times what is 2 again? 2 and 1. Where's my 2 got to go? Top or side?
Side.
Good. How many times does 2n divide negative 14n? Good. How many times does n divide 1n? 1 times negative 7 is? So we have n minus 7 times 2n plus 1. What cancels? 2n plus 1. So it's looking like this one here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What's wrong? How did I get the answer? Okay. All right. On this one right here, we need to multiply. I'd probably multiply by the LCD. What's the LCD? Actually, you know what? I wouldn't. Let's do this. I would get rid of the denominator, else get the common denominator down here. So what's your common denominator of the bottom? X. Good. So do I need to multiply the 6 by anything?
No.
No. Do I need to multiply the 2 by x? So plus 2x. Fancy division sign. What do I have to do with the denominator? What do I have to do with this thing down here?
Flip it.
Flip it. Reciprocal, right? And then switch it to multiplication. Does anything cancel? Not really, right? Could I take a 2 out of this mess back here?
Yeah.
Let's do that. So we've got 4x over, and let's see, I've got an x minus 4. I'm going to take a 2 out. When I take a 2 out, the 6 becomes what? 3, and the 2x becomes, do you see how I just reversed the order of it? So while I was writing it down. 2 goes into 4 how many times? 2. Now look at your answer choices. Which one does it have to be?
Number B.
It has to be that one, doesn't it? Because it's the only one with a 2x in the top. Let's check this FOIL and make sure that the FOIL is right. What's x times x? Good. X times 3 is?
3x.
3x. Negative 4 times x is?
Negative 4x.
And negative 4 times 3 is?
Negative 12.
So we've got 2x over x squared minus x minus 12. So it is that last answer choice there. Yeah.
How did you get from the first part, how did you get the x in the bottom?
The x in the bottom, I found a common denominator of x. Right? Because between these two, my common denominator would have been x. And then I multiplied the first one. Didn't need to multiply. The second one I had to multiply by an x. There was no x in the denominator originally. Okay. All right. Let's look at 3. Okay, we got to think about what cancels right away.
D. Or 1D.
The f goes, right?
Yeah.
F is gone. D goes into here. What does that become?
Just a regular D.
Just a D. And then E goes into there. What does this become?
E to the fourth.
Good. And so for my numbers, I usually do my numbers first, but 5/4, what's left in the numerator?
D E to the fourth.
D, E to the fourth. Anything in the denominator besides the 4?
No.
Nope. So it's looking like this one. If you're following along on the Chromebooks, make sure I'm right. Okay? 'Cause if I'm not right, we have problems. All right, we got to fix it. So we don't want to be wrong for the test. All right, divide. What is, okay, so I'm going to do a couple of things at once. What does that mean to do with this second part?
Flip it.
Flip it and switch to what? Multiplication. Okay, so I did that. There isn't any reason that says I can't go ahead and do my factoring on this part here at the same time. So I'm going to do that and save myself some steps. So how do I factor this numerator?
Magic X.
Now I'm going to do my magic X over here to the side. So two numbers that multiply to 21 and add to 10.
7 and 3.
So x plus 7 times x plus 3. What kind of factoring is this denominator right here?
Difference is 4.
And what do we get for that?
X plus 3 x minus 4.
Good. All right. What cancels?
The x plus 3 and x plus 7.
So what's left in the numerator?
X minus 7.
And in the denominator?
X minus 3.
All right, we good with 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so number 5. Sorry. Okay, what is the, so what would I break this thing into here?
2 and 2.
So if I were going to circle something using my circle method, I would circle the 2's, right? So let's just talk about the LCD. So I know I've got a 2. And then what else would I circle?
The X.
The X. I know I've got an X. And then I have a 3 and a 2 left behind, don't I? So my LCD would be 12x. Do we all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I'm going to erase my circles because they're just going to get messy with this next part. Oops. I should have left my 2's though. So I can just go 4. So 12x, 12x, 12x. I'm multiplying everything by the LCD. So in this first term, what cancels?
The X.
The x, and then how many times does 3 go into 12?
36.
4. We're going to distribute the 4 in. So what do you get when you distribute the 4 in? Good. All right, what cancels in this second term?
X.
X, and how many times does 2 go into 12? 6 times the negative 1 would be negative 6. All right, how many times does 4 go into 12?
3.
3, so I've got equals 3x, and woohoo, the fractions are gone.
Yeah.
Right? We're excited about that. I'm going to do a couple of things at once. What is 4 minus 6?
2. -2.
At the same time, I'm going to move this 4 to the other side. So how do I move the 4x? Subtract. So 3x minus 4x is?
-x.
Good. And we divide by a negative, so what's my final answer? Is 2 okay in those denominators?
Yeah.
Look at the denominators again. Is it okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't make them 0. It better not, because there wasn't any no solution in the answer choices, right? So we need to make sure that it does work. All right, we good with 5? Okay. Which fraction is equivalent to? All right, so I need to get an LCD. What am I going to use for my LCD?
X.
Do I circle anything?
No.
No, so we need to write both of them out. This isn't the one where you multiply everything by the LCD because there's no equal sign. 6. I multiply by what's missing in the denominator. So what's missing in this first denominator?
X minus 3.
So I multiply this one by x minus 3. Now check that out. Aren't they conjugates? So do I need to do all of FOIL?
No.
What do I do?
First and last.
If you recognize it, just do first and last. So what's x times x?
X
Good. Negative 3 times 3. If I had done the middle, they would have canceled out. Okay? All right, what's missing in this second denominator?
X minus 6.
So I'm going to do what with the 7? Distribute, what do you get?
7x.
Minus 42. Okay. Look at my denominators. It looks like it's got to be one of the last two choices, right? Okay, so I'm going to go x squared plus 7x. What's negative 9 and negative 42? Better be negative 51, because look at the middle, right? It's the only one that had the 7x in the middle. Do we need to bother to try to factor it? No, looking at your answer choices, they didn't factor their numerator, so you don't have to either. Okay? Don't go further than what it asks. If it was free response or an open-ended one, I would probably have tried to factor my numerator. Okay? All right. We need to subtract this time, but I'm going to factor this denominator first. So what can come out of this denominator? 2. What's left behind? Good. And so this is the thing where I would circle in blue, right? If you want the colored pencils out tomorrow, you can have the colored pencils out tomorrow. So we've got, what would I write down? How many times do I write down what's circled? Once. And then what else is left behind there? A 2, which we did underline in red. So I'll write that in red. So we need one blue and one red thing on to multiply everything, denominator here. Is there anything missing from this denominator that's in the common denominator? No. So I get to write down 5x plus 11. What's missing from this denominator? 2. So I'm multiplying not just by 2, but by negative 2. So negative 2 times x is what?
Negative x. Negative 2x.
Negative 2 times negative 8 is?
Negative 16.
Positive 16. It looks like my denominator, I do not need to distribute that back in looking at the answer choices. What's 5x and negative 2x? 3x. And then 11 and 16 is what? 27. So it's looking like the second one, the B choice. All right, number 8. Looks like we got a bunch of factoring to do, right? Okay, so what kind of factoring is this piece right here? Two numbers that multiply to negative 10 and add to 3.
5 and negative 2.
Do I need a box? X plus 2 just gets written down, right?
Yeah.
No friends. What kind of factoring is this piece?
Completing the square.
No.
No.
It has something to do with squares. Difference of squares. There we go. So what do I get when I factor it?
X plus 2, x minus 2.
Good. And what kind of factoring is this?
Difference of square.
Good. And what do we get when we factor?
X plus 2, x minus
What's wrong?
2.
Negative 3 here. Should have been a 2. Big difference in the end, huh?
Yeah.
All right. What cancels?
X negative 2, x plus 2.
Anything else? No. Okay, so my numerator is x plus 5. So I need to decide which one of these is, or actually there's 3 of them that I could have for my denominator. I need to put this back together, don't I? So wouldn't I just multiply first and last because they're conjugates? So x squared minus what? 9. So it's got to be this last one here. Sometimes they make you put it back, right? But that's because it's a multiple choice. Had it been an open-ended one, we would have just left it. I wouldn't have multiplied it back together. All right, number 9. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to x plus 4? This is kind of a nasty problem. You have to try all of those, right? And figure out which just has an x plus 4 left in the numerator. So it means I've got to do 4 sets of work here. So first of all, I would probably take out my GCF. What's my GCF up here? 4. What's left behind? Good. And what's my GCF of the denominator? And what's left behind? X minus 2. So these are going to cancel. When I go to factor this, am I going to get 4s in the top? No. Do I really need to keep going once I recognize that? No, it can't be that one. Okay. What's this numerator factor into? Okay, so that one's looking good so far. What can I take out of the denominator?
4.
4. So we get x minus 1. Is there anything that I can cancel to just get this? No, so it can't be that one. All right. What's this one here factor into?
X plus 4 and x minus
Over x minus 4, what happens?
subtract x minus
Get rid of the x minus 4 is canceled. Did I get what I wanted?
4. Yeah.
Yep, it better be that one. This one does what? X plus 2, x minus 2, so nothing's going to cancel in that one, right? It's got to be C. I would always, especially if I've got extra time on something like that, make sure I double checked all of them to make sure I didn't miss something or factor wrong or cancel out something wrong. All right, let me skip over now. 10. Okay, we got to simplify the expression. Fancy division sign means we do what? Multiply by the what? Reciprocal. Good. 4x minus 2 times x minus 1 over x plus 3. Can't cancel anything yet, so I need to do some factoring, right? So, what does this, how do I factor the numerator there?
X plus 3 x minus
Good, and then what comes out of this denominator? 2, what's left behind? 2x minus 1. Okay, that may or may not help us, I don't know. So let's cancel what we can cancel. So what cancels? X plus 3. Anything else? No. So looking at the numerator, so at this point I'd look at my answer choices, right? I only see one of them that has the x minus 3, x minus 1. Right? So it's got to be this one here. And then again, we just factored that out. Did I really need to factor it out? No. It goes back to the way it was originally. So it's got to be the first one.
Didn't you have to do the find LCD?
No. Not on that one. It was written different than normally we would have seen it with, oops, sorry, I went too fast. We would have seen this symbol on it, right? It's the same as that. Okay? If you did you could have done the LCD method and it's going to work, but you're doing a lot more work to do that. Okay? All right, looking at 11. What do I need to do to start to get rid of the square root? Square it. All right, so 3x minus 8 equals what? 25. And what are we going to do with the 8? Add it. What do we get? 33. Divide by the 3. 11. When you fill in the blank here, okay, you can just type the 11. I don't need the x equals part. Okay? If you do the x equals part, I tried to put all the possibilities in there so that it made it easier for me to grade and I don't have to keep going back to it, but it's okay either way. So if you just want to type 11, just type 11. All right? Oh, is it extraneous if I put it in there? No, it doesn't equal, isn't a radical that equals a negative, so we're good. All right, how do I undo this square root? Square both sides. So we've got x plus 6 equals x squared. I'm going to how many answers should there be to this? 2. I'm going to move everything to the right side so I don't get a leading coefficient. That's not a 1. Okay? So when I move the x, I subtract. When I move the 6, I subtract. How do we factor that? Magic x. So two numbers that multiply negative 6 and add to negative 1. Do I need a box? No. So we've got x minus 3. I'm going to go right to zero product property. My x plus 2 equals 0. I don't know why I wrote parentheses. So x equals what? 3. And x equals... Okay, now let's go back and think about that original. I'm going to erase what I had up there. Okay? If I were to plug in, let's check the original because I may have extraneous here. So if I plug the 3 in, I get 3 plus 6 is what? 9. Square root of 3, 9 is 3 equals 3. Is that one okay?
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Okay? What about putting in the 2? It's going to be a radical equals negative 2. Is that a possible answer choice? No. So it's just the 3. And remember, you don't scratch out all your work. Just put an X through that tells me you knew it was extraneous. When you type in your answer, you would just type in the 3. All right, we good with 12? All right. We've seen this one a couple times, but there was one similar to this on your performance task. Okay. I don't know why it has two equal signs. I believe it should have a plus sign right there. Yeah. Is that that's a typo, isn't it? Sorry about that. Let me double check on the. I want to look at the actual test. Hang on, and see, make sure I have the plus sign in the right place. Not there. So take a brain break for just a minute here while I get to haiku. And take a look at the test. So I want to make sure that I put the plus sign on the right side. Assessments. Nope. I put it over on the other side and it's a minus sign. So let's try it with the minus sign. That's probably why it's a typo. That's an easy typo to make, is a minus. So this here should be a minus sign. Okay, so fix that. Okay, I'm glad I looked. Alright, so this is one, there's an equal sign, so this is where you multiply by the LCD. Okay? Because we want to get rid of our fractions. What does this denominator factor into? Good. Alright. So I'm going to multiply everything by x plus 4, x minus 4. So x plus 4, x minus 4. X plus 4, x minus 4, and x plus 4, x minus 4. Alright, let's talk about what cancels. So in this first term, what cancels? Alright, and what are we going to distribute? 4. So we get 4x plus what?
16.
Good. Equals. What cancels in this second term? Everything. So we're just left with 6x squared. Okay. Alright, and then what cancels in this one right here?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. So I'm going to distribute not just 3x, but negative 3x. So we get negative 3x squared plus 12x. Okay, let's see if we can do a couple of things at once. When I combine these two together, what do we get? 3x squared. Good. I'm going to move the 4x to the other side. How do we do that? Subtract it. So 12x minus 4x is what?
8x.
And then to move the 16, what do I do? Subtract. So I did that so I saved myself a line, right? Okay. Magic X. What's 3 times negative 16?
Negative 48.
Good. Anyways, you can have the graphing calculators tomorrow. They're not going to help you other than with arithmetic. Okay, so if you want to come and grab one when you get in here, that's fine. Okay? It's not gonna help on the rest of the test further than that. What do I get? What two numbers multiply to negative 48 and add to 8?
12 negative 4.
12 and negative 4. Do we need a box this time?
Yes.
Why?
Because there's a
Leading coefficient. Okay, so top left-hand corner is 3x squared. Bottom right's negative 16. Got a 12x and a negative 4x. Alright, what times what is 3?
1 and 3.
1 and 3. Where's my 3 got to go? The top or the side?
The side.
The side. How many times does 3x divide 12x?
4.
Good. How many times does x divide negative 4x?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 times 4 is?
Negative 16.
I'm going to go right into zero product property. So x plus 4 equals 0. 3x minus 4 equals 0. What are we going to do to move this 4?
Subtract.
Subtract it. What are we going to do to move this 4?
Add.
Add it. And what do we do with the 3?
Divide.
Divide it. Okay, let's check the denominators. Is negative 4 okay in these denominators? No, it makes one of them 0, right? So I cross out the extraneous. Alright. Is 4/3 going to make me in the denominator 0?
No.
So that's a good answer. What if I crossed out both of them? What would you write down for your answer?
X
no solution is typically what we would write. Okay, if it came, this one is not no solution, right? But if it came out with no answers, okay, you write no solution. All right. Okay, looking at 14, the first thing I need to do is move this 8. How do I move the 8? Subtract it. So we get, what is 10 minus 8? 2. And we're going to raise it to what power to get rid of the 1/3? We're going to cube it. So that gets rid of this. So you get 2x minus 6 equals, what's 2 cubed? 8. How do I move the 6? What do you get? Good. And how do I move the 2? Divide, and we get 7. In theory, we should check it. Okay. Let's see. What is 2 times 7? 14 minus 6? 8. The 1/3 power, or 8, is the same as what cubed? 2 cubed to the 1/3 cancels, right? What's 2 plus 8? 10. We okay? Yeah. The ones where you have to be careful with the extraneous is having an x on both sides. Whenever you see that x on both sides, you definitely want to do a check. Okay? All right, last one. What do we have to do to solve this one? Cross multiply. So I've got 2 times x plus 5 equals 4 times 3x minus 6. What are we going to do with the 2 and the 4? Distribute. What do we end up with? 2x plus 10 equals 12x minus 24. Okay. We're going to move the 2x over. How do I move the 2x? What do you get? 10x. We're going to move the 24 over. What do we get when we add the 24 over? We're
34.
adding the 24, so wouldn't it be 34?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to divide by 10. If I'm going to reduce that fraction, what goes into both 34 and 10?
2.
2 into 34. How many times?
17.
17, and into 10? 5. Okay. All right, so we've seen all the problems from the test tomorrow. What is the best thing you can do to study? Do this a couple of times. You need to do it at least 2 more times. If you can do it at least 2 more times. After you do it, what do you need to do, though? Shouldn't you check it to make sure it's right? Okay? Don't just do the problems. Make sure you're doing them correctly. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Negative 7 over 5.
-7/5. What happened? I think that my answer is wrong in there, don't you? Yeah, so I'll fix that answer in there. Okay, it should be 17/5, and it shouldn't be negative, should it? No. Apparently I did the problem really fast. I'll go and fix it right now. Okay? Any other questions, comments, concerns about the test?
On the study guide, it only gives you like 10 tries to do it. So like, can you somehow make that a little?
I can't. The max I can do is 10. Delete your last attempt.
You can do that?
Yeah. Don't do that on a test, okay? So, because I'll give you a 0 on a test. So, yeah, don't do that. But if you need, hopefully you don't need more than 10. Okay? I really hope not. Okay? All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. So you are studying the last few minutes here. You could be working on making sure your table of contents is up to date and your summaries are done. Okay? Because we still have a few minutes. I will work on stamping homework on Wednesday this week. Okay? We will hopefully get it caught up then. I'm going to fix this thing right now. No, not that. That was the last question. Oh, this is the test.
Can I get another piece of purple tape?
Yes, purple tape.